This is question 4 of my A2 media evaluation, and the question is, how did you use media technologies in the construction, research, planning and evaluation stage? Okay, so new media technologies in for evaluation part 4. So for research, different media technologies we used throughout the research process for the overall production, such as past products. In order to obtain a lot of past products, I use websites like YouTube and Netflix in order to gain an idea of conventions. So for example, I might use YouTube to look up a past documentary, for example, The War on Doping. This was very important because in order to sort of get the documentary to a quality standard, you need to have an idea of the conventions, and this was probably the most effective way of knowing the conventions by actually watching past documentaries, especially if they're on the same topic as what I was doing, which is doping within sports. So for example, this one here, The War on Doping, is obviously about doping within sport. So they impacted on my work because I knew I had a clearer idea of what I was looking for, and in my documentary what I was trying to achieve in the editing process, like more professional effects, etc. And here with Netflix, yeah. So next, furthermore for research, I'd also be looking for another example of what I might look for in research was questionnaires. So to do this, I used Wix and Microsoft Word in order to plan the questions and write them up, and I used SurveyMonkey in order to process the data. And here is my questionnaire. So I asked a lot of questions about different aspects of the documentary, of what the audience might like to see. This was mainly because I wanted to gain different perspectives from the audience in order to know what they wanted from the documentary, because at the end of the day, whether your documentary is successful or not comes down to whether the audience like it or not. So I asked questions like, what genre of music would you like? Would you watch this documentary? Would you prefer a female or male voiceover? So a lot of different small aspects. So these impacted on my work quite a lot because I was able to be better at sort of knowing exactly what the audience wanted. And also I know for future projects that these are probably important things to find out, so that is definitely something to look out for in the future. Furthermore, also used blogs from filmmakers of the past. This was important because you sort of know more about what people are looking for. For example, here in this blog, this is a blog which tells me about the different types of documentary. For example, observational documentaries is about fly on the wall sort of thing, what you might see in Louis Theroux films. This was important because it sort of gave me an idea of what I needed to do in order to define my documentary. So my documentary, I felt, was more expository in the fact that it was mainly based on the narrative progressing through the usage of archive footage, as well as a voice of God sort of thing, like a voiceover. So yeah, past blogs from filmmakers gave me an idea of what the filmmaking process was all about and what sort of things I need to look out for. Another thing was social networking, because it allowed me to receive an idea as to what the audience wanted. For planning, there was also a lot of new media technologies required for the whole planning process, as you can imagine. So for example, practice shots. This was done with an SLR camera. So for example, here, this was done in order to give me an idea of what sort of things I needed to do for the actual production, what sort of angles I should be looking for, and yeah. And also another one for planning is Wix. This was where I put my blog. So this was very important because I had a lot of different blog posts, which was all based around the production. So yeah, as you can see here, this was all my different blog posts that I've been updating throughout the whole process so for example, here for my ancillary task, I've got my radio advert scripts. which has impacted on my work because I knew exactly what I needed to do for my radio advert rather than sort of just talk vaguely throughout. Yeah, I've got a lot of other examples here, like interviews, sort of give an idea of what I wanted to achieve out of my interviews, what I did in the documentary, and practice shots there. These impacted because it gave me a better structure as to what I wanted to achieve. It gave me a better structure of what to look for, what I needed to do, and overall I just felt more organised when it came to actually filming and the editing process. I knew what I needed to do. It was just all about actually implementing it. So Wix was a very helpful tool for research. For construction, Pixlr. This was a website I used simply because I didn't really have too much other options. It was fairly basic. It's a fairly basic website because it's not like a new sort of thing. It's quite old fashioned. But this is what I did to create my ancillary task. It created a lot of problems really for me because as you can see here, when I would load up something I'd already made, I wouldn't be able to. All of my layers that I've made would be deleted, and everything would just be moved to the background. So this made it quite difficult because effectively every time I turned it off, I would have to turn it back on and restart the whole thing again. But it wouldn't take so long because I already knew what I was going to do. But obviously, it's obviously done the job in the end, so I can't complain too much. However, it could have been a lot more easier if I was using a much more up-to-date program. Yeah, so Pixlr was used to create my ancillary task of print advert. So furthermore, for cameras, for the shots like these, I would use a Canon 600D SLR camera. This was because it provided much more high quality for the shots that were for the content of the shots. However, I would use a digital camera for interviews. This was because the quality was not as good. However, the sound was a lot better because you could hear a lot more. It was a lot better. It was able to pick up a lot more sound, which I thought was probably more effective for interviews, especially when the Canon 600D would pick up a lot of sounds that weren't really required, as you'll see later. Apple Mac, yeah.
Whether we can catch up with the things that are being used to.
So as you can see, that noise being made from Final Cut Express was a bit of a problem, mainly because of the Apple Macs. Yeah. Open Broadcaster software. This has been used throughout my evaluation. This enables me to film the activity on my monitor, which has been very helpful. So I've got an idea. Well, you can see. I can show you the sort of stuff that I've been doing quite easily without having to I can actually demonstrate it to you. I've been using Adobe Premiere Pro, which is different to Final Cut Express. It's quite similar, but it's a lot more complicated. But I feel it's good for the evaluation because it's more about just putting clips together. It's not really about effects and everything. I'm creating a film. It's good for this. I feel it's good for this sort of thing. So it's pretty good for the evaluation, but it's not. It wouldn't be particularly effective if I was to use it for my actual main production. And furthermore, for last but not least, Prezi presentations. These were also very important for my evaluation because I've been using them. I'm using them here. This is for my last question, the audience feedback question. My Prezi for that. It's been and that's helped out a lot because it's very fluent and efficient, and